Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ibrahim from Living Debt Free, a guide to financial freedom. In this video, we're going to talk about, it's going to be a standalone video, by the way. We're going to be talking about home ownership, to own or not to own. But before we start that video, before we go into it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're new. Don't forget to smash that like button, ring that notification button too, because that way you know when my next video comes out. And leave a comment. All right, so let's get started. We're going to talk about home ownership, right? And this is specifically for people within the United States, right? But I mean, it could be said anywhere else. But the culture in the United States of leaving this idea of having property, and by having property, it means that you're a person or whatever, leaving a legacy. A property is a legacy. This is, and one time in the history of the United States, it was true, because let's be realistic. We have to understand the history of the United States. For example, a lot of people don't realize that voting rights and even the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, was limited to land owning white people. So if you were white and you didn't own any land, you didn't get to vote, and you didn't get to you didn't have the right to bear arms. You know what I'm saying? You could be part of the militia and they can issue you a weapon, but you didn't have a right to own a rifle. You know what I'm saying? For your own protection, right? A lot of people don't know that. If you read and study the actual history of how the United States Constitution was made and the amendments that came later and all of that, then you'll have a better understanding. So owning property was important. It gave you complete citizenship. It gave you civil rights by owning property. And over the generations, it became an idea of legacy, right? And in many cultures, property is considered a legacy. I'm from Puerto Rico. In the Latin American culture, owning land is important. It's part of the legacy, or patrimonio, as we'll say in Spanish, that you're going to leave behind to your family and your kids when you're not there anymore. It's your legacy. So what happens is, the United States in this generation, these last few generations, people care less, or the younger generation, less and less they care about land. Number one, before you needed more, the more land you had, the more value you had, because then you had, then you were able to produce, agriculture, cattle, anything like that. You had wealth. Land equaled wealth. And today, to a certain extent, it still does, but only for certain people, not for everyone else. So, and I want to touch this. It's very important for those of you who think about, I need to have a home so that I need to have property so I can leave it to my children, or buy several houses so I can leave it to my children. Listen, let's be straight. Your children, when they inherit it, the first thing they're going to do is sell it. That's normally what happens. People who inherit a home, they sell it because they want the money. They don't think about the long-term benefit of having that property, of renting it out, or utilizing it for something that can make them wealth. They don't want to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to deal with it. And so there's nothing wrong with owning property as long as you own it. And this is where we're going to talk about, this is like the nitty-gritty part of this video. If you have a mortgage on a home, you don't own your home. The bank or whatever financial institution that lent you the money to buy the house, they own the home. They have the title. You do not have the title with you. Yes, it's in your name. Yes, you bear the debt. Yes, you have to pay the taxes. Yes, to all of that, but you don't actually outright own it. It belongs to whoever lent you the money. So if you have a mortgage, stop telling people I own a house, and stop lying to yourself that you own a house. If you pay in a mortgage, you want to know the difference between you and someone who pays rent? That if you miss rent, you get kicked out of your house, yeah, your credit gets bad, but that's it. That's it. You don't have to deal with a foreclosure. If you can't pay your home and you get a foreclosure, and they repo your house, that's even worse. It messes up your credit even worse. So, if you don't have the money to buy a property outright, which most people don't, listen, you're better off renting. I know you don't want to hear it. No one wants to hear that, but you're better off renting. You're better off renting. Trust me. And if you want to buy property and everything and own your own home, and you finally do, listen, don't get anything bigger than a 3-bedroom house. Because then if you ever have to rent it out, if you found a job somewhere else and you want to leave or whatever, you can at least rent it out. Because 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom houses are difficult to rent. Ask anybody who has properties like that. They are difficult to rent. They are difficult to rent because most people nowadays have a smaller family unit. I'm telling you this. This is very important you understand. And don't fall for, and trust me, all the real estate companies, all the financial institutions, they do not want you to see this video, because if you see this video, you're going to understand the tricks that they use. They're going to tell you, well, buy a house and make it a rental. That way, the rentee will pay the person renting from you. He'll be paying. He's the one paying your mortgage, right? They want you to do that because that means for 20 to 30 years, that you're not going to see much money. Maybe you might get like $50, maybe $100 out of it a month. But they're the ones getting all the money, and you're still paying all the taxes. I'm telling you, the best thing to do is, if you can't own the property outright, don't buy it. Right? I tell you to stay away from interest, not just because I'm a Muslim. I'm telling you stay away from interest because it's the interest and the way they do business, the way they do interest in the West, that has caused the world to go into recession many times. It's toxic. If you're not Muslim, you want to use interest at the end of the day, no, you can do what you want. I don't promote it. But at least think about what you're doing. You want to buy. Look, at the end of the day, to build a house doesn't cost more than $50,000, $60,000 to build the house. And you can build it in 6 months or less. And I know because when I was 16, for 6 months I worked in vinyl siding. And I watched people put up a house, a 2-story house, in a month. And we would put siding inside the whole house in less than a week. You know what I'm saying? Using vinyl siding. And I remember my boss at the time, mind you, this is 1997. My boss is telling me at the time, he's like, at that time, to build a house like that, and these were like 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom houses, they were like, he was like, a house like this. I was like, how much to build a house like this? if you paid for it. He's like, man, $30,000, that's it. The $25,000-$30,000, that's all it costs you. And all these people, they're spending all this money, because these what it is. He said these are real estate developers that build the houses and everything like that. It's going to cost them, including, they'll say the whole thing to build a whole house, including the landscaping and everything. He said it's going to cost them 30 grand, and they're going to turn around and sell it for 150. Building a house is not expensive. I mean, relatively not expensive. Where the problem comes is having that cash, right? And look, if you're Muslim, I will tell you, find a good brother who has money and have him lend you the money and you pay it back without interest. But for everybody else who's watching this video, this is what I would say. If a bank or a financial institution is willing to give you a loan for $150,000, $200,000, $300,000, they'll give you a personal loan for $50,000, $60,000. Okay? Want to know what the difference between the two is? You're going to pay the exact monthly payment. Well, if you get a $50,000, $60,000 loan, you're going to pay the exact monthly payment that you're paying on that $150,000, $200,000 house that you would normally pay for, if you go with that. And you're not. Oh, by the way, you're not putting a down payment because they're giving you a personal loan. Because to get the house, half the time they want $5,000, $10,000 payment. Down payment, you know what I'm saying? So really, they're not lending you the full money. They're saying they are, but they're not. They're still charging you for that. And after 20 years, if it's 150 grand, you've paid about $230,000, $240,000. If it's a 30-year loan, you've paid over $330,000 for a house. You paid more than double the price. And this is how it works, because of the interest and the fees. But if you get a personal loan, you buy the land cash. Listen, if you have $5,000 to $10,000 to put down on a down payment for a house, you can get a lot of land with utilities installed already. All you got to do is build the house, and you're going to pay anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 for that lot of land. The same money that you were going to use, you can buy your property cash. That means you own the property. And if it takes you a while to build, guess what? Hey, you own that property. Yeah, you pay tax on it, but you own it. Worst case scenario, if you find you can't do nothing with it, you could always sell it at a higher price. But at least you outright own it. You're not paying anybody. Don't buy land with a loan. Now, if you want to build a house and you want to take a loan for it, then, like I said, I would stay away from interest. But if you're going to do it, then at the very least, get a personal loan, because you pay that in 5 years. 5 years. 5 years, you're paying the exact same thing that you pay in a month for 20 to 30 years. Okay, including the insurance, because all of that includes the insurance and everything, right? So you just pay, you pay whatever you're paying every month for 5 years, and in 5 years, guess what? You own the house, and you can build a house within 3 to 6 months, and you're moved in. You know what I'm saying? Then you own it after 5. First of all, you own the house. You just own a personal loan. You know what I'm saying? You own it. It's yours. The land is yours. The house is yours. You just owe a loan. You don't own a mortgage. A mortgage, what's the difference between mortgage and a personal loan? Personal loan means that you owe the bank for money that you use for personal reasons. When you go, you say, I want a personal loan. They're going to ask you for what? Say whatever. Don't tell them you want to build a house. Because if you tell them you want to build a house, they're going to try to convince you to either do one of two things: to get a mortgage, to buy a house, because they make more money like that, or they're going to give you a higher interest rate so that you pay more. Because you don't have to use the money for what you tell them to. I hate to tell you to lie, but they're going to cheat you anyways. You know what I'm saying? The financial institutions are there to cheat you. You know, people who have money in the bank, you think the money's sitting in your account? No, they're playing with your money. They're investing it. That's how they make That's how they make money, and then they charge you. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, all I'm trying to say to you guys out there is, if you can't buy property outright and you can't get a loan to build your own home, then don't worry about it. Just rent. Trust me, you're better off. You're way better off renting. You know, owning a house is not the sum of who you are. It's not going to be your legacy, because nowadays your children will more than likely sell it as soon as you're dead. You know what I'm saying? They won't think about the fact that, guess what? I can use this, I can rent it out, and I can have some extra income. It's already paid, because if you died and you had some kind of insurance, or if you had already paid it off, that means it's paid for. You know what I'm saying? Your children, since they didn't work for it, they don't care about it. They're going to sell it. Trust me, I know. You know, and if my dad's watching this video, he'll probably get upset. But my father, my aunt, and my uncle, when my grandmother died, that's what they did. They sold their house. She spent 30 years paying on that home. And as soon as she was dead, guess what? They sold it. Your children are not going to care about a home. That's not the mentality of this generation, of these generations today, including mine. It's not that you leave me a home. I'm old school. I would love to own my own home for me, not for my children. Because if I have children, at the end of the day, more than likely, whatever I leave them, they're going to squander, no matter how well I raise them, because at the end of the day, they're going to be them. I have no control. I can't take the money with me. You can't take the money with you. So if you want to live debt-free, don't get into the debt. If you can, don't get into debt. You know what I'm saying? Look, people will always come with the excuse, I had no choice. You always have a choice. It may not be the choice you want. It may not be the more comfortable choice, but guess what? You always have a choice. You know, you don't have, getting to debt is not that you didn't have a choice. You chose to get into debt. You know, if you're in a situation where you can't do something, trust me, you'll be able to get out of it. You'll be able to survive it. You know what I'm saying? And as long as you don't live in a country like where I live, where if you owe money, you can go to jail, then you're fine. You know, it may take you some time, but you'll pay it off. You just have to understand that it's better to rent if you can't buy cash. If you can't buy cash. And if you want to own a home and you can't buy and you can't buy cash, so you decide that you will get into a loan, don't go into a home loan. Get a personal loan, build your own property. Save that money that you would have spent as a down payment to buy the property itself. That's the best way to do it. And there's a thing people are doing today. And I'm sorry that this video is long, but this is a very important video. There's something very important. People are understanding that they've had to downsize. And I've mentioned this in other videos. They have these things people call tiny homes or whatever, you know. You may have to sacrifice. Maybe you buy yourself a plot of land for like $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. You set up water, electricity, toiletry. You put a little small trailer and live in there. You may have a family, but you can make do. You live in there, and then you know what? If you're working, if you have a job, then that money that you would have used to pay that mortgage, you can put aside. And then every couple months, once you have enough money, to put a foundation is not expensive. Putting a foundation is not expensive. So first you do the foundation, then you frame it. then little by little, it may take you a year, maybe take you 2 years to build your home, but at least you're saving that rent money, that you paying the utilities for wherever you're staying at. And if you're smart about it, you set up a little solar panel so you can live off electricity, still use a water system, because there's many things to do. But unfortunately, some counties don't let you live off the grid, because then the private companies that are in the utilities business can't make money off you. But if you're in a place that you can do that, like Arizona is one of those places where they allow you to homestead and then have your own, you can live off the grid. They don't fine you for that. I mean, if you're in places that allow you to do it, even better. But my point is that you can little by little build your home, and you live in a small place, and little by little you get bigger and bigger and bigger. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, smash that like button, and leave a comment. This is Ibrahim with Living Debt Free, a guide to financial freedom. Thank you guys for watching.